Where did you go? This question is a portal back to a part of yourself that you might not even realize you've lost. If you've been struggling with past wounds, feeling disconnected from your authenticity, or simply searching for that spark of joy and curiosity that you once knew, you're in the right place, and this is exactly the conversation we need to have. Hi, soul friends. Welcome back to the sacred space and to another episode of From Me to You, where I answer all of your beautiful questions and video requests. Today, we're exploring a topic that was a crucial stepping stone in my journey to discovering my authenticity, as well as something that I just believe is essential for anyone seeking deep healing, and that is how to reunite with your inner child. Together, we're going to walk through 4 simple steps along with several shadow work prompts that are really going to help you unravel the layers that have distanced you from your inner child and return back home to them once again and ultimately back to yourself. While we get into this, I am going to chase a waterfall. I'm going on a little adventure because something about being outside and wandering just brings my inner child to life and really lights her up. I think it's just the curiosity of it all and being able to just be present and be in awe like we all were when we were children. And so I haven't been outside in a while, so I'm really excited to see what kind of gems we will discover today. We're gonna go on a little field trip and reunite with our inner children. But first, we need to get hydrated. We have a long journey ahead of us. All right, let's do it. It's so easy to lose sight of where we come from, to forget who we were before adulthood swept us into the whirlwind of seriousness, responsibilities, and routines. Childhood can start to feel like a distant, nostalgic memory fading and far away, but your inner child is still very much alive, just patiently waiting for you to notice them again. I like to think of it as if they're gently napping, just waiting for you to come and wake them up so that you can play and become one again. A gentle way I like to ignite reconnection with my inner child is by remembering them, and I do this through memory exploration. The most intimate way I've found to begin is by using a childhood photo to bridge your inner child into the present moment. Being able to see a physical manifestation of mini you just makes it that much more real and less of a distant image. First, I like to close my eyes and just begin by returning to your earliest memory. How old were you? What do you see, hear, and feel? What were you like back then? What was your essence? How did you play? What activities brought you joy? What books, shows, or hobbies did you love? What did you dream of becoming or achieving? How did you express your feelings? What were you naturally good at? What did you long for the most that you didn't receive? One thing I discovered while reflecting on these questions is that as a child, I was incredibly emotionally expressive. I cried when I felt sad as naturally as breathing, but as I experienced certain conditioning and hardships, I grew fearful of vulnerability and began feeling uncomfortable and ashamed in showing those difficult emotions. So reconnecting with my inner child and her bravery and expression brought me back to the truest version of myself, one that is sensitive, emotional, expressive, and allows herself to feel safe in expression without judging herself. Now that we've reawakened our inner child and we can see them so clearly, we have to get reacquainted. It's been a long journey, and while you inherently know them, they might not recognize who you've become. Most times, our inner children are frozen in time. They may still be in environments where they feel scared, unsafe, or uncared for. So we have to bring them up to speed, gently reintroduce ourselves, our new environment, show them the love and safety we've cultivated since then that we now want to share with them. My favorite way to do this is by opening up loving conversation with my inner child. I start by picturing little me sitting across the room from me. I will say this part is always very emotional for me. There's something about speaking to the little version of you you that just unravels you, especially if you endured difficult things during childhood. So try to pay close attention to what comes up for you and any tension you begin to feel in your body. Some questions you can answer for your inner child is telling them how old you are now. What's your life like? What lights you up? What are your fears? And if your inner child could speak to you now, what would they say? What are they feeling? Does anything hurt? How do they need to be nurtured now? What do they need from you? Because our inner children can still be rooted in past environments where confusion, lack, or even danger were present, it's essential to offer them reassurance that with the now versions of ourselves, they are in a safe and nurturing space. I like to do a shadow work exercise that involves safe space visualization, where you can picture the safe space that your inner child needed that they didn't receive. Visualize it in detail. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What do you hear? How can you recreate a similar sense of security for yourself now? I love to ask my inner child this question directly, which feels incredibly empowering. It gives her the authority to choose and curate a loving space for herself, which is something that we don't typically get to do as children. Since our inner children can feel powerless and thrown into circumstances that they have no control over, this process can really help your inner child reclaim their power and remember that they have the ability to create a reality at their design. Instead of leaving your inner child in the past, you can now bring them along on your journey. But to keep them well and alive, we have to continue nurturing them in all the ways that they need to thrive. Some ways I love to spend quality time with my inner child is by making time for creative play with no direction. Whether it's dancing out of the simple joy for movement, playing in the earth, twirling because the lack of direction feels good, drawing, or just allowing yourself to melt into the freedom of creation without any expectations or pressure for it to have meaning. Something I love to do is spend more time with stories. I have this book called Beneath the Moon, and it's full of fairy tales, myths, and divine cultural stories from all around the world. Each one feels like the perfect little dose of magic that just awakens my inner child. I spend a lot of time reading pretty serious books, so diving into these stories really gives me a gentle break from the constant adulting and reminds me to tap back into wonder. Another way to spend quality time with your inner child at any point in time is by speaking lovingly to yourself, especially when self-criticism is creeping in. A great way to do this is by putting a photo of little you on your mirror as a reminder of that is who you're speaking to. And I promise you, you might say something mean to the adult version of yourself, but you won't say anything hurtful to them. Another way that you can create space for your inner child to shine is by welcoming the moments of goofiness and laughter and joy. This is definitely where my inner child thrives because I am very silly in nature and I'm always laughing, always in this default state of unseriousness because life is really not as serious as we make it. And I really think that your inner child can guide you to joy if you allow them. One of my favorite ways to spend quality time with my inner child is just by moving through life in awe, embracing each day with the wide-eyed wonder and curiosity your inner child naturally carries will allow them to guide you back to the beauty and magic in each now moment. Our inner children are definitely experts at finding the joy in every crevice, finding the beauty in not purpose, but just in being here right now. Allowing your inner child to really take the reins of your life and guide you through your journey with the optimism that children naturally carry and with the curiosity that leads you to adventure. Take a moment to remember just how proud your inner child is of you and the journey you've taken. Picture what your 5-year-old or 10-year-old self would say if they saw you now. They'd be amazed by the person they've grown into. They'd find so much comfort in knowing that everything turns out okay, and they'd feel immense pride in the person that you've become and you're becoming. You are a living reflection of the path you've walked together, and they are so proud of you. We are all truly just on this journey back to ourselves, and I hope that this video serves as a valuable resource in reawakening and reuniting with your inner child. But if you have any questions or just want to continue this conversation, please leave a comment and I'd love to chat with you there. I love you and honor you so deeply. Thank you for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you next time.